Weather's been
fantastic.
Yeah.
Really?
Weather's been lovely. The sunshine, great beer, great pizza. Everything's great. Anyway,
Nice.
Let's get going. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 513, Adaptational Attractiveness, Hermione, Tyrion, and a million others. What a weird title. This is from, let me see this guy. Who's his name? Trope Anatomy. Alrighty, Mr. Trope Anatomy. This has
I thought we'd do the Kylo psych bullshit.
The Kylo psych?
No, that lost.
Wasn't Elite for a while. Oh, okay, then we'll do this.
I don't know. I just give whatever Mateus gives me. I'm like, all right, we'll do this one. So
Mateus betrayed
you could have totally just randomly chose one. I have no clue. So, anyway, this has 3.5 million views. Came out 3 years ago, and his channel's only 125,000. So must have been really, really good. This has almost no downvotes out of 120 upvotes. 3.2 are downvotes. Not sure why. 18 minutes long. I think I remember what adaptational attractiveness means. It means when you're going from one medium to another, they will make an element of the story either less ugly, like an actor being, I don't know, Angelina Jolie, but that's not, you go from Tomb Raider in a video game, which is like 800 polys, to Angelina Jolie. It's like, okay, well, she looks pretty much the same minus the resolution. So at the time,
I thought she was damn flat. Now what they made out of Lara in the games, I thought, yeah, compared to that, yes, she does have curves.
Well, yeah, at the time. So it's either the actor, it's the setting, the house, the car, whatever. There's something about the description of the book that makes it.
Yeah, it's than anything. It's like characters will be described in the book one way, and then in the movies or TV or video games look completely different.
Yes, and that's mainly to sell the movie, because I remember when what was that, Ghost in the Shell live action, in order for that to work, they needed that actress. I can't remember her name because it's been a while.
Isn't it Scarlett Johansson?
Was it Scarlett
Johansson? Yes.
I'm trying, because I remember what she looked like in the movie. I'm like, is that her? I think it was.
Yes, that is her.
Okay.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
So
Frau Johansson.
So that's the whole reason behind it. First off, no producer's not going to go without a big name or something, a big sell just on name alone. And that's it. That's the only reason. So the movie gets made, people say, hey, cool, attractive lead, attractive car, attractive setting, attractive cinematography, CGI, you name it. And that's just how it goes. And usually, like we saw with Howl's Moving Castle as an example, you have these big mechanical-looking magical ships and they're bombers and they look all alien and they're doing cool things. There's explosions. Like that's, to me, is adaptational attractiveness, even though there is no war in the book. So there's all kinds of things you could do to make something attractive, which to me is normal. All you're doing is taking an original primary source and saying, hey, we could not change the lore and just add to it, or sometimes it does change the lore, and add to it just because visually it's cool or looks good or it sounds better or this actor would look better doing this thing. So pretty standard stuff. Nothing big, very simpler or very similar to what Hollywood does and TV does from books or radio shows or what have you. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Is everyone in the watch together? Let me see.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I always name myself so you know that I'm there.
Yes, as opposed to everyone else. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go.
Yes, user HC Skugger.
Whisp doesn't care.
What?
Never mind.
Exactly.
Okay, here we go.
Something we often see whenever Hollywood decides to adapt a book into a movie or TV show is that the actors cast to play certain characters don't look at all like they were described in the book. Sometimes it can be the actor looking older or younger than they should, or having a different hair color. But these types of small changes we can all...
So, Sherlock for the BBC is not a good example, but...
Mm-hmm. That's an adaptation, which is also when I say adaptation, I mean it's reinterpretation of it in a different time frame.
For sure, yeah. In the original book, Moriarty was a professor of mathematics. In
this one, he just a gay man who fancies Sherlock.
I don't know what he is. Yeah, I couldn't tell.
A prick. Just a gay prick.
Not really.
the Moriarty in The Next Generation looked okay.
Oh, yeah, but also, why don't he, if he's going to use that, why don't you use Benedict Cabbage Patch as his version of, Sherlock Holmes looks different, you know what I mean?
Oh, so you're saying he's a downgraded from the original Sherlock, not an upgrade?
Yeah, probably, actually, yeah. He's not an attractive person. He looks like a perpetually confused otter, doesn't he?
Oh. Well, he still gets jobs, so that's good for him, I guess. Whatever is it?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's only because Robert Downey Jr. is not allowed near Marvel anymore, so they've got to have Bernardo Cumberland, or whatever his name is, as the main character.
Yeah. Oh boy, alrighty. Well, let's see what this guy has to say.
I'll brush off really easily. What I'm more interested in and what I'm going to talk about is adaptational attractiveness. This refers specifically to when a book character that is described as being anything from plain or overweight to downright ugly is played by a conventionally attractive actor. We see this happen all the time. For example, in the 1847 novel Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Rochester is described as being very ugly. He has a dark, craggy face with stern features and a heavy brow.
Okay, if you guys know anything about Jane Eyre, I remember doing this back in school. Rochester is upper class, and he's above the ladder as Jane is, but they're intellectual equals, so they share a lot of traits. And Rochester falls in love with her, she falls in love with him. So I don't know if this is a thing with women, that they care about what you're interested in, your morals and your values, and as opposed to your appearance. Women are not as focused on appearances of men than men are of women, I guess.
At times,
sure.
Like that itself is a prejudicial statement because the science tells us pretty much otherwise.
This is the sentimentality or the ideas of the writer at the time, because the focus of this conflict between these two characters is not that they look bad or this or that. It's because she is of the moral superiority because he's already married. So when she tries to hook up with him, everyone finds out that he's already married. So now that she's on a higher moral standing than he is, and then there's a big fire and he gets blinded, and now he's lost all his fortune and da-da-da. So the story isn't about appearances or the Beauty and the Beast or anything like that. It's about, is this morally right? Do I do this for love? Because he's what they refer to as a libertine fellow. He does things out of his passions, and that's probably why he's fooling around in the first place. So
he's a Sith.
He does whatever he wants. Yeah. So that's the moral focus of the narrative. Not that like his appearance doesn't really matter. It does nothing to do with the story.
Looking at the sketch, I can easily see Jim Carrey playing him, because he played a similar character in what was the convoluted name? No, not Sonic. A string of unfortunate circumstances or something like that.
A series of unfortunate events. Oh my God!
Yes,
Jesus.
Exactly. Yes, but Jim Carrey played a character that pretty much looked like this guy.
A string of certain events.
Whatever. The movie wasn't that impressionable.
No, but it's such.
Yes, Hawk, I haven't grown up with English idioms.
This is the synonym reflection. It's like, instead of the Lion King, it's the Cub Queen or something. the Tiger Queen. Here we go.
This would be like, the Lion King, or in Germany, a couple of events in Africa or something.
Synonym, verb, synonym. We're fine. We're talking.
We basically said the same thing. It's just not the idiom.
Titanic, or in Germany, a bit of a wet boat ride.
Look, that is how I would expect
It would
the
be-
English, the English naming in a horrible event like that.
Yeah, in Germany it would be
Because the English make light of everything, while we make everything sound worse than it is.
Yeah, How to Make an Undersea Booten is the German title.
What?
How to Make an Undersea Booten. No?
What?
I get it. It's like what was it like?
To make are you trying to say how to make a submarine, or how to say how to make a undersea shoe?
Sure. Yeah, you got me.
Because
there.
you could say evil right
Or-
now. I don't know. I have no idea what it's. What help?
Would the German translation of Little Mermaid be wet trout wants dry bloke?
No, it's the little sea virgin.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice. Okay, anyway, we could joke about
Die
this.
kleine Meerjungfrau.
All I can see is chat now putting this series of unfortunate events like repeatedly. It's like there been a series of unfortunate events. That was a very bad joke. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Much ado about something I don't remember. Let's continue.
Yep.
He is also chested and has a shaggy mane of black hair. Yet in the 1983 miniseries, 2006 miniseries, and 2011 film, Rochester is played by Timothy Dalton, Toby Stephens, and Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, you should have chosen Jim Carrey.
I will be honest. They were going for a bit of a James Bond connection, weren't they? Before Michael Fassbender, whatever his name is.
Fassbender. It's basically Pearl Maker.
Hmm.
All right.
But the thing is, it's like, I mean, you can't really have a go at Toby Stephens because his bread and butter's period dramas.
Right.
Looking at these three guys, it rather seems that these are rather the later movies are inspired by the first one instead of being linked to the book.
I'm going to be honest with you. After Colin Firth came out of that puddle, all dripping wet, dark-haired blokes and period dramas became the go-to thing.
Oh yeah, there's lots of guys with the semi-long haircuts or the poofy shirts and time travel. They throw in all kinds of other random stuff into these series.
Yeah.
So.
Was it that Colin Firth that he did Pride and Prejudice or something, and after that everything tried to copy that series. So anything after the 90s really just kept looking the same.
Wasn't it a movie?
That was a TV series one. So
okay.
Yeah, and they're mostly for women anyway, so we don't care. It's like, that's fine.
yeah.
I wonder why.
Romance. The main focus is romance. It's like, I'm in another world.
And dresses.
And I have a poofy dress, and he has a poofy shirt, and we love each other, but he's my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, so I can't marry him, and da-da-da. You're like, okay.
And I'm to be married to this other guy I hate, but he has money.
Oh, no.
You can tell society's collapsing, can't you? Because women used to think that these period dramas were quite dishy and like romantic, and now we just watch things like 365 Days, which might as well just be porn. So
that's why the fainting couch isn't a thing anymore.
They're no longer hysterical. They have emotional adaptation issues or something. I don't know.
They're now emotionally dysregulated.
Women are not hysterical. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. Women have and always will be hysterical over anything.
All right.
Rochester is played by Timothy Dalton, Toby Stephens, and Michael Fassbender, all of whom are far from ugly. Or in the 1998 novel Hold, the protagonist Stanley is described multiple times as being overweight, but in the 2003 film, this same character is played by Shia LaBeouf, who is far from that. Of course, it's no mystery as to why this is a trend with adaptations. Studios are investing millions into a movie, so they want to get as many people as they can into theater seats so that they can make a big profit. In order to do that, they need to make the movie appealing to as many people as possible.
Well, no, they could have chosen a nobody actor who was more attractive, but they didn't do that. They chose a good actor who is attractive, and they're putting their bets on something they know will sell.
Yeah, and maybe has a name attached because the name sells.
Yeah, like Timothy Dalton's a pretty cool name in the 1980s, so it's like, all right, that'll work.
Yeah, and that's also why you put Matt Damon in a movie with Matt Damon.
Who does
especially in China, because the Chinese like Matt Damon, so you have a movie with Matt Damon. I really like saying Matt Damon.
Yeah, it's like Outlander has all the elements of a romance story with a twist and has modern day nuances because it takes place in the modern day. And hey, there's time travel just because, and oh my God, she's in the same time period, and her ancestor is her great whatever, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen, and all that jazz. You could make it about Christmas, you could make it about Easter, you can make it about any kind of nonsense. Women are going to watch it because it's about romance. So,
I'd also say this is a good use of Apocalypse Elmo.
Oh yeah, I like it. Although, is it? Is the camera pointing down? Because it feels like it's looking up. Because we're in a movie theater, but it should be pointing down. I've never seen a movie theater looking up. But anyway.
Yeah, but it's
I've never seen a movie theater set out like this either.
Yeah, it's like is this the back end of the movie theater or the front end?
He just rendered this. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway.
And one of the simplest and easiest ways of doing that is to cast famous, attractive actors. Yes. Still, that doesn't stop fans of the books, including myself in numerous cases, from being disappointed or irritated at seeing book characters we know so well manifest on screen. And
this is not an issue. This is really not. Fan of the Opera, he's disfigured. Take an attractive dude, disfigure him, it's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah. I recently, I got through the first episode of Kindred, which is the 90s attempt at making an actual World of Darkness series.
Yes.
It misses a lot.
Yes,
but,
it does. But
looking at it, it's the 90s. It's low budget.
Yes, exactly.
It's filmed during the day with the brightness reduced so that it looks like the night, but it's these harsh, stark shadows, and it's like, oh, so much nonsense that doesn't work, and they get the clans wrong and other things, but certain things they get right that other World of Darkness adaptations never got right.
Yes.
So I've give it that credit.
Exactly.
And they at least tried. The Nosferatu in Kindred aren't as ugly as they are in the World of Darkness, but they at least made the Nosferatu clan leader eerie.
He had
that classic Nosferatu vibe, but he wasn't that exaggerated. But he was this cold-looking, bald guy that wasn't this round bald, but this with the edges of the skull that you can see.
Yeah, he was the henchman, right? The right-hand man of the prince. But the leader was the female, whatever her name was. But she was amazing. She was fantastic. So what Kindred got completely wrong is the romance nonsense stuff that is not present in the World of Darkness for vampires, because they don't have a sex drive anymore. They change a few things to make it more likable to the audience. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. It's what I went on before. Because selling the World of Darkness to a normal audience is actually difficult. I think today you could do it. But you would. I would. During while social justice activists hold the franchise right now, I don't think we can get a good faith adaptation. Once that is over, we may, due to competence in effects and people used to gritty horror stuff today, I think we can make a good World of Darkness series at some point that really gets into the nice things. However, what I wanted to say, while that Nosferatu didn't look like the Nosferatu from the movie Nosferatu, he was still in that vein, in that general direction. It was still an inspiration. You could see he's inspired by that still.
I would say it's very similar to, let's say, TOS Star Trek, that everything is low tech and they don't know exactly how to make these creatures, because the Nosferatu in that example, some of them are really heavily makeup and some of them aren't. And you're like, why is there a difference? And it's like, okay, maybe there's some variation. They never really talk about it. Is it a big deal? Yeah, it's okay. It's not a huge problem. So
I mean, in that series, they couldn't even they couldn't make the gangrel right, because the gangrel should have animal features, which they get from their transformations.
Well, even in the games, they never got them right either.
Yeah, but these are not the guys that you would have as gang fucks out on the street.
Oh yeah,
because
that's true.
They too easily break the masquerade.
I would say
they don't have to hide as much as Nosferatu, but they still need to hide.
In relation to the adaptation attractiveness, you could say the new engine for the pre-Steam engine for Bloodlines 2, Bloodlines. The eyes really did a fantastic job of conveying emotion to the player, so that when you saw the gangrel or the Tremere, it's like, wow. Like that really comes across very quickly, even though if the gangrel didn't look very, animalistic. Gangrelly, or the Tremere or the Toreador weren't as sexually, like, they're supposed to be super attractive. And they were like, yeah, they're attractive, but they're not like
they're the ones to use their. Yeah, but they use their sexual wiles in order to get their victims. And that's why they work in brothels and such.
Yeah, and I would say
and high society places.
Right.
But that is they don't do it for sexual gratification.
Right, and it's the new lighting engine of the pre-Steam build that really popped those eyes into the screen. That like, wow, like they're really serious and they're seductive and they look at you and they talk to you and the voice acting is great, the lines are good. Like that was, to me, was all I needed, even though if I didn't know that gangrels are supposed to be on their four legs or hunting you down.
No, not that far. Like so with the gangrel, it is every time they transform into an animal and they transform back, they retain some part of that. It might just be a feather, but it's something that's now permanently with you. So they have to. This is the drawback on the ability. Like many of the abilities the vampires use come at a price.
Right. So these things are. You have to sort of give it some leeway depending on the budget, depending on the CGI, the practical effects. With that show, at least, I was like, yeah, this is pretty decent for getting something accurate with the clans. Not perfect, obviously, but getting the idea of the prince.
The Bruja in the series where. I was so taken aback by that, because the Bruja are supposed to be communist anarchists in our time, and instead it's suit-wearing mobster types like the mafia, and that's maybe they were that 100 years ago during the Prohibition or something, but in the 90s they were supposed to be anarcho-communists. They don't work as your enforcers very well, because the whole thing of the Bruja is to always, like, it's part of their curse, to always rebel against the current established authority.
I think,
and there's this fun bit in the history of the World of Darkness where they managed to establish such a thing, I think, around California area, which fits very well with our current time. And since they then became the ruling force that had established their Bruja, little secret Bruja empire, their curse turned against them because they always have to fight the current status quo. So they started to fight against their own status quo.
I would say,
and that's how it broke apart.
To make that story work, the adaptation was no longer about, can we make this sexy? Can we make this attractive to the audience? We have to make this practical to the plot. And
I got a bit lost there.
Yeah. So the idea of a female vampire loving a mortal man, like that was the focus for a few episodes. So they have to play with romance. They have to play with desire and what does it mean to give your life to someone, like basic stuff that people could understand. Because most of these stories are very gory to begin with. So
Hollywood also thinks that audiences are dumb, so they have to use all the common things in order to bring about that characters are in a relationship or care about one another. So they do it in the soap opera romance style.
Yeah, the sacrificial lamb, or the woman who just gives up all of her immortality for a person because you're like, oh, geez, you really like this guy. So
instead of how it plays out in the World of Darkness, where you have certain elements are missing, so you have to focus on other elements on how to portray that, and that takes a bit more skill than your standard soap opera.
Anyway, guys should check out Kindred. It's on YouTube, I believe. You could watch it.
It may give you cringe feelings.
It's for the 90s, or was it early or late 90s? It did a pretty good job, I think.
I think early.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, for a super low budget, yeah.
Exactly.
I'd say okay, yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
A completely different body to one we had imagined. The question is this just another case of book readers being nitpicky at any and all changes that deviate from the book? Or does adaptational attractiveness have real significant consequences in building a character and telling the story the way it should be told? Because if it doesn't, maybe it's not such a big deal. Real quickly, I'll touch on what I find to be one of the funniest cases of this, at least funny to me, and it happened this year with Ready Player One.
Oh god.
Of course, there's Wade Watts, who is described as being nerdy and overweight in the book, only losing weight later on in the novel, but it isn't like that in the movie. However, the one that really stood out to me was Samantha Cook, aka Artemis. A huge point to the romantic subplot is that Wade keeps being rejected by her because of her insecurities, and she is convinced that he would not love her in real life. She says, "Trust me, if I ever let you see me in person, you would be repulsed." The physical attributes she has that she finds so repulsive is a port wine stain that covers half of her face. And while not outright described as fat or chubby, she is referred to as Rubenesque.
Yeah, but some guys like that, so...
Yeah.
A scar on a woman is not as unattractive as some greasy, unkempt obesity.
I just realized what we paused on. Holy hell.
That was you.
I didn't see it. Wait. Okay. Yeah.
Bunch of fat gay people.
Let's just keep going.
This subplot of her constantly having to reject
that was
Wade,
literally
and that
one
the
frame.
reason for the rejection is solely down to her being so insecure with how she looks, rather than her having her own thing going on, or just genuinely not being interested.
Isn't that in the movie though?
I haven't seen it.
I thought it was in the movie. I saw clips. I thought that was the big deal. She's never going on, even though she likes Wade, she never actually goes along with him half the time because she's like, I'm not attractive, blah, 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 which is a completely normal female thing. And it doesn't matter.
Especially in puberty.
And it doesn't matter
Holy shit.
if she's ugly or gorgeous. It makes no difference. Women will act that way regardless. So
yeah, and as I said, especially in puberty, girls hate how they look. They hate their bodies, how they change.
Yeah.
They hate the shape of their breasts and how the nipples are not even, and all this other shit. Like, and the man is just, oh, breasts, awesome.
Yes. Everything you said was accurate, I believe. Okay.
It's probably my least favorite part of the book, but for as flawed as this subplot is in the book, I think it's handled even worse in the movie. I did enjoy Ready Player One, and this isn't something that I think makes or breaks the movie. I went to see it exclusively for stunning action sequences, and in that regard, it delivered. Nevertheless, the reason I think this subplot is handled worse in the movie is entirely down to...
It's not a subplot, it's part of her character. It's, it's not like a part of the plot pauses because she's insecure. It's just she feels insecure and doesn't go along with Wade or talks about her, what she looks like after the fact because she's scared. That's it. Nothing really changes the plot.
Adaptational attractiveness. You see, in the movie, actress Olivia Cooke was cast as Artemis. She is, of course, good-looking, non-Rubenesque.
Yeah, but you could get an attractive woman or a man and you could make them ugly in a movie. It's
just a makeup question.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, God, what was that other Scarlett Johansson movie? This little hidden indie thing where she played some alien.
Oh.
Under the Skin, I think. It featured it featured a guy who is cast because he is ugly because of a genetic issue that disfigures him from birth. And there are a few actors like that who are cast because of that, because well, it saves a lot on the on makeup, and it also makes it all look very much more realistic. And that was rather interesting. So you can cast people like that, but if you want a specific look, because Under the Skin, I don't think if that don't know if that has a novel behind it. It might. It's years ago I saw it. It's an interesting movie. Give it a watch, but maybe don't take drugs before you watch it.
That's a good lesson in life in general. Whisp.
It was that one that had this. There was a headline about Scarlett Johansson having fallen flat onto a sidewalk, or when she was crossing the street, and there were paparazzi apparently there because and made a headline out of that, and that was actually part of the movie. They were filming. They just had the cameras hidden well enough so that the cameramen probably looked like paparazzi themselves. Or it was a publicity stunt, I don't know, but it was pretty funny. Check that movie out, but don't expect anything, because it's one of those movies where you have to think a little. There's relatively little text. It's mainly pictures.
Yeah, so the standard of medium for people going to the film or the cinema, they say, okay, I want attractive things. And it's perfectly natural to have women or men who are a little bit more buff than their counterparts in the book, except for maybe like Tom Cruise and his depiction of Reacher. Not to say Tom Cruise isn't attractive. Obviously, he's a very attractive man. But compared to the book, he's not a 6'4" Hulk. He's 5'7" or 8", around there.
He's tiny.
He's not that tall, yeah. So, but without him,
5 foot.
Something, yeah. So without him, the movie would never have been made. The Reacher book movie.
Yeah.
So, but that's fine. People are like, yeah, that's cool. We get it. But the series,
you can put him on a box like Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, they did kind of keep.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
You'd have to.
The port wine aspect of the character's appearance. Really, all it is just a slight faint birthmark on the corner of her face. It is so insubstantial, yet the whole subplot stays exactly the same, and we're supposed to believe that this insecurity is so deep that she truly believes that no boy could ever find her attractive.
Well, I can barely see
and even
it
worse,
because
Wade still gets his
over
"I
it.
love you for you" type of
But,
scene,
there
where he
we
lets
see
her
it
know
better.
that he isn't disappointed.
There we can see it better. So it's just a bit red in the face. Like, yeah, I can understand why a girl might be very insecure because it's right in the face, but girls can be like that. Sure, that is understandable, but it's also he's also correct that it is so faint that you can easily overlook it. And then men will easily overlook that, especially this version of it.
It's completely fine. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, in elementary school, for a while, they said a girl next to me that had like 50% of her body was covered in much darker red patches than this. I don't know what that condition was called, but I don't think it was just birthmarks. And she had, she was a tough nut.
Okay.
I'm not disappointed.
As if we're supposed to find it endearing that he wasn't completely put off by a little mild discoloration on a beautiful woman's face. So here we have two cases of adaptational attractiveness. One that I think has little to no effect on storytelling, and another that does. I can't think of ways in which Wade not being fat in the movie has made a difference. I guess you can make an argument that him being overweight in the books shows one of the negative aspects of spending all your waking hours in the Oasis. But really, his weight and weight loss is not a vital part of this character and his story.
Well,
yeah, my question is anyone aware of the books to Ready Player One?
Oh god, you don't want to touch those.
I'm just asking for if you are in that VR thing, are you also on a treadmill?
Some of
Or
them
is
are
it just-
suspended. Some of them are on a treadmill. Some of them are just depending what you're doing.
Because if he's on a treadmill, then he should be losing weight while he's in there all day. Because he's walking around all the time.
It's a bit stupid to describe. They don't really clarify how it works, but it's essentially you're moving the same way in the game.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Because video games, especially all the first-person stuff, you're basically a highly trained adventurer, and if you're not highly trained, the fucking adventure trains you. If you any of you ever played a first-person shooter, whether it's Unreal or Quake or Halo or whatever else, Battlefield, doesn't matter. You are running around all the fucking time. If you play that all day long, imagine how many kilometers you've run. You've run a marathon, but you've not just run forward. You've done acrobatic bullshit like run over there, run to the left, run sideways, strafe, backwards.
Yeah, that's where...
Kneel down, get up again, jump over the box. Like, you are not just doing a marathon. You're doing an obstacle course all day long. You are not going to be fat.
That's where all this disconnection is happening, because there's no way you could be doing all these things in real life while you're doing all these flips in the game. So it's always like a minimalized version of a jump or running. Like, you're not running top speed, and it's video game storytelling logic. It doesn't make any sense. So the story is silly. I think they made a sequel to that, and it's just none of these books are worth reading. There are better versions of virtual world stories or story within a story books. These are not... I don't think they're worth your time, honestly.
Watch the 13th Floor.
Okay.
Premise, though, as explained, you can see how it has affected storytelling. Unlike Wade, a huge chunk of a storyline is dedicated to appearance, so what they should have done is either change that up by giving the character her own reasoning for rejecting Wade, one that has nothing to do with her insecurities about her.
But that's her character. Then you'd be changing the book. That's silly.
Her avatar looks worse than her.
Yeah, this is silly. You have to give it more meaning. It's like, it's already a meaning. You're just attracted to the redhead because it's an attractive actress. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what she thinks. If she's a goddamn supermodel, but she thinks she's ugly, she thinks she's ugly. And Wade has to go...
lacking... Yeah,
Have you ever tried to convince a woman that she's not ugly? That's like, honestly, I'd rather, I don't know, fist fight Vladimir Putin, to be honest with you. It's easier. Women are really stubborn.
And that guy is a karate taekwondo champion?
What is he? I have no idea.
The bloke can fist fight grizzly bears. Regardless, it's a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
Convincing a woman. Once a woman's got insecurities, they stick with her constantly, no matter what you say. It takes a long time to break them out.
Yeah, even with your girlfriend, they want to be told. They want to be told, like, what do I look like? How do I look? And I'm like, you look amazing as always. What are you talking about? But how do I look?
They need the affirmation. They need the affirmation. And
it's like
and said that that little detail. No, I don't care. It's you're beautiful. You're beautiful anyway. No matter what you think, I think you're beautiful. And when you love that girl, you usually do.
Yeah, it's purely a bias on your sake, but that's what love does to men's minds. It's like, yeah, this person's amazing. She's wearing rags today. Tomorrow she's wearing a dress. It's like, oh wow, she looks amazing, just as much as she did yesterday. I like her and everything. It's amazing. Why is this happening to my brain? I don't know. It's magic.
And I forgot what I was originally wanting to say.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway,
all I know is
her avatar here looks worse than her real life thing in the movie.
Yeah. Well, guys with girlfriends that know this story, so it's pretty common to go through life like this with constantly needing the affirmation. How do I look? Even my mom, when she was getting dressed to go out, would ask her myself, like, well, how do I look? It's like, Mom, wear the black shoes, or wear this, and it's like, yeah, that looks better.
So that I remembered that this guy thinks that she shouldn't worry that she's still beautiful. Shows that he so it leads to the right thing to say to her, but he says it from a point without empathy. He doesn't understand why she is insecure about that.
Yeah, it's pretty much you want to like rub her on the back and saying, "Listen to me, you're sexual. You are awesome. You don't like."
Yeah, but the way he says it.
Yeah, I know. It's
way he says it is not in a way of a compliment. It's in the way of a get over it, grow some skin.
Yeah, it's kind of
ignore it, and that's a bit assholish.
I guess
it's unempathetic.
The male equivalent is like a get people going before a game. Like if you're in a sports thing and you have to like gear them up, like, oh no, you're good, let's go, like that sort of deal. But with the romantic element, it's kind of this weird suave affirmation of love and beauty and attractiveness. It's like all they need it all. It's like not just once, like once every hour would be good. Probably more, but it's just in general. It's like you're out with someone and she likes you. It's like every hour come by and just, you look so nice, just randomly while you're eating your Cheetos or whatever you're doing at a bar. It's like you just stop and go, hey, your hair looks really good right now. And you just keep eating. That's all you got to do. Don't know why. Mm-hmm. Makes no sense, but anyway. All right.
Appearance, or at the very least fully commit and don't tone down the aspect of her appearance that she's so insecure about. Don't tone it down to the point where it looks like just an oddly positioned bad sunburn. They could have easily made what is supposed to be a port wine stain look more prominent like the vast majority of them do in real life. Had they done that, maybe then the subplot would come across as less of a joke. Because it's hard to take that storyline or character seriously when you can't relate to someone who looks really good, think that they are hideous.
Okay, this is silly.
But I can agree with him that they could have done a bit more.
Oh yeah,
yes, it could have been more prominent, but it's still enough there for her to be a problem.
The rest of the story is so over the top. Having a girl who's insecure in any intensity is fine. You don't have to. Her entire character doesn't have to be, oh my god, I'm hideous, constantly. That'd be annoying and obnoxious. This is just enough where she's involved in the main plot to help him out or to help find the secrets and get around. It's fine. She's a girl. We get it.
She's also like a teenage girl.
Yeah.
So
in this magical virtual reality place where they change their appearances all the time. That's fine. It's grand. Everyone's some other character. Ooh, it's mysterious. We don't know what we look like. It's fine.
Being too much with adaptational attractiveness. I'll concede that the vast majority of times we see this happen, you can't point out ways in which it's complete.
Oh, he's just literally just copying and pasting the TV tropes page. Okay.
Oh my God, Watchmen! It's Watchmen's fault all over again.
Yeah, look at in the Princess Bride, Prince Humperdinck is ridiculously over-muscled and Vizzini is a hunchback. I'm trying to remember the book. I honestly can't recall. Because their character is not about that. Their character is about, I'm the prince, I'm in charge, I'm a master hunter, and Vizzini is just an egotistical genius. That's it.
In the Never-Ending Story, Balthazar, his name is Bastian Balthazar Books. That's why I mixed it up in my head. Bastian is fat. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I read that as a child, and I didn't remember him as being fat, but if he says so, okay. And it's one of the key problems he experiences in life with teasing by bullies. In the movies, not only is he thin, yeah, he is, but in the Never-Ending Story 2, which never happened because it has nothing to do with the fucking book. It's just Hollywood trash. He's a live athletic swimmer. It's irrelevant. First off, the character has had overcome his fears after the part in the first that is covered by the movie. At the end of that's just I think a third into the book, but it's in the movie he's wimpy, which is just the same problem as being fat. That's just as much reason for bullies to bully a kid because, oh, look at Target. He looks weak. Let's bully him.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
I do like the top one. What is it? The novel of Little Children. They say about the character bears very little physical resemblance to Jackie. Was it Jackie Eyre Haley? And he goes, well, Haley is no George Clooney. It's like, well done for like comparing him to one of the most attractive men in the world at one time. It's a bit like you're sort of boosting his attractiveness by, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the other comment about Kate Winslet looking like what they call Hollywood homely. It's like, yeah, you can do that. You can make women look unattractive. It's not hard. So
yeah, but Hollywood's idea of, I get it. Hollywood's idea of attractive is still very attractive for us normal people. Yeah. But that's because Hollywood's filled with fucking insane lunatics.
Yeah.
Who go for perfection. You know what I mean? It's
that is true. They rarely do something ugly, which is why I think Under the Skin does stand out, although it's just a little indie project. I think
Whisp. They made a show called Ugly Betty, and the character of Betty wasn't ugly at all. Have you seen her?
Never have heard of that.
Really?
Oh, sorry. In the German, it's called slightly unattractive Bettifer.
No, I've never heard of it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, no.
Don't watch it.
It's a miniseries.
But my point is, it's like Ugly Betty, she's ugly. And it's like, you look at her and you're like, she's not really, though, is she? She's Hollywood ugly. And it's like, oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, she has a slight imperfection.
She has braces, she has glasses. I don't know. That's about it. Yeah, she's fine. Anyway.
Glasses don't make ugly. Japan has an entire fetish about wearing glasses.
Oh, yeah.
See?
I just thought it was because their eyesight was bad, but okay.
Yeah. And I'd say an example of where it actually distorts the story is in the horrible adaptation of the horrible book that should have never been written and never adapted of The Reader, in which I think it was Kate Blanchett, Kate Moss, one of these Kates, and because I can never remember names of and or faces. That is supposed to be an old woman, like in her late 50s, that is abusing a 10-year-old boy to make him read stories to her because she's analphabetic, and then later she sexually exploits him. Being played by this good-looking, young to good-looking middle-aged Hollywood actress kind of destroys that, as well as having him then being 16, 18, because this is a story about pedophile exploitation.
Okay.
But hey, it's Hollywood. They kind of like the diddling kids, right?
All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
That fucking movie.
That's because unless the plot of the story is something similar to that of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Elephant Man, or Beauty and the Beast, we don't see very many stories that completely hinge on a character not being attractive. But there is one nearly universal way it does impact character, and that's relatability. Let's go to arguably one of the most famous and beloved fictional characters in the world, who also happens to be the one that inspired this video, Hermione Granger. In the books,
she's not universally loved. I can't stand the bitch. All right, so
you could say she's cute at that age, but as the shows go on, she matures and she's not as cute, I would say.
What's the word? Snotty? Nosy?
Know it all, yeah.
She's a massive cunt sometimes.
Yeah.
Hermione described
Harry Potter. So, oh well.
As having lots of bushy brown hair and rather large front teeth. It's important to note that in the book she's never actually described as ugly, and I've never pictured her that way when reading them. That being said, Emma Watson is obviously significant.
Yeah, but when she's first described, she's 11 years old.
Yeah. You know, kids are rather ugly. It's only parents that love them.
You might want to tell my parents that, actually, Wisp, because I think they missed that out. So.
All right. This is getting silly now.
But when you saw Emma Watson in the first two Harry Potter films, when she was 11 and 12, I didn't go, damn, that's some fine ass there. I just went, oh, it's a young girl.
Yeah.
And as mostly the other girls care more about that.
Yeah, and plus the book never cares about making her attractive. She's just a girl.
Also, I think I'm assuming that this one is film. What's this paused on? This is probably film 6. So at this point in time, the actors are pushing at least 20 here, portraying 15-year-olds, I think.
Yeah, that's normal.
And it's a bit like, yes, she's attractive because she's like nearly 20. So that's what happens when actors age. They hit a thing called puberty. I mean, look at the guy who plays Neville Longbottom. Just, he was like the character, and then he turned into a hunk because he hit puberty and worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Alrighty.
oh well, people grow up.
Yeah, especially when you do these long-term projects with kids, you don't know how they'll turn out.
Yeah, but if this is his main argument that she's attractive, she's so attractive in the book, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with her character.
Yeah, her looks are really irrelevant.
The only time I think her looks are relevant is in Goblet of Fire, because she gets on a date with someone from another school at the ball and everything, and Ron gets jealous, which is I think the start of their little bit of their romance. And I think that's the only time it really comes up. Outside of that, nothing. So,
alrighty.
Significantly better than what we know Hermione's supposed to look like in the books.
To be honest, you and Rupert and Emma are all too good looking, frankly. You are, the character.
Also, that just reminds me, in the Cursed Child adaptation, Hermione's black.
Oh.
The theater thing?
Yeah, she's black, yeah. So is that adaptational attractiveness, or if she's a good-looking black person, or
if you have a race fetish?
Fine.
Yeah,
If you have a race fetish.
Seems like casting was more involved than lore. It's like, oh yeah, she's a good actor, let's hire her. It's like, great, sure, whatever, let's do it.
I don't think that casting, hiring, being a good actor was involved there.
Maybe.
That's the problem that we have with this whole token casting.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
We can't tell anymore. Is it really because it's a good actor, or is it because it's we have to fill a quota?
I'll be honest. After I watched that Black Anne Boleyn show, I can tell you 100% it's not because they're good actors. There wasn't a good actor amongst any of them.
That still makes me laugh.
But Hawk, maybe that was just the best one that applied.
The best queen possible. We got the best casting. It was a 2 minutes of pure gold. We have to hire this actress. She's that good.
Look. It could have been the best choice. It could have been the best choice because nobody better applied.
Whisp, the only way that she was the best actress for the job is if Amber Heard had applied for the job, and they were the only two applicants, and you go like, well, at least one of them can act.
Okay, you can also throw Brie Larson into that thing. These people seem to be clones of each other.
I can imagine the casting agency be like, well, we've got the black woman or the woman who's taken a massive dump in the middle of the reception area. Black woman it is then, is it?
I could understand that for sure.
Okay.
To make a kid any actor look like a geek is just a question of dress and makeup.
Yeah, but also Dale Radcliffe looked
like
a lot like Harry Potter when he was younger.
Yeah, he did look like a geek.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're too good looking. It's like he was 11 years old. Again, me being me, I don't look at an 11-year-old and go, oh, that's attractive. You know.
We have this thing called makeup.
Yeah, well, at least, okay. Let's replace attractive with beautiful.
Well, yeah, but if we don't have all these makeup people and cosmetics and set design and like, do you want the movie and characters to look unattractive for the sake of it? Well, even then,
we're getting that now with the woke shit.
But even then, that's still a function of makeup and design. Like they have to purposely make it look bad. as opposed to, well, you're too attractive. We won't use makeup. We won't use wardrobe. We won't use anything. Just go out there as yourself. And you're like, that's not professional. People are going to notice.
And all the spotlights are gleaming off of your greasy and sweaty skin.
Yeah, like the people have to do their job. They hired a set of people who do lighting and gaffers and camera work and all this other stuff. They're going to do their job, and they're going to make people come across as attractive, even if they're visually unappealing. They're going to be coming across as attractive as possible. So if the natural features of the actors come out, that's fine. No one's like, Harry's too adorable as an 11-year-old boy. It's like, oh no, like this is not related to anything in the plot or his character. I don't think there's a description of Harry being he was a very handsome young man and he charmed all the people in his neighborhood. And the audience is like, no, there's nothing to do with the story.
Harry Potter was one of the most attractive 11-year-olds in all of wherever he was. Old man Jenkins down the road had a real crush on him. Luckily, Hagrid took him away.
Help.
See, that's why I think the argument he made about the girl in Ready Player One is a little more relevant, because that was about her character. That was about her as a person in this story, which has a subplot with romance, which doesn't detract from the main story. It's alongside it. This is just these people grew up and they went through puberty. Now they're adults. They happen to be more attractive.
Yeah.
And then the lighting people and the cosmetic people did their job, and that was that.
Yeah. No offense. The boy characters got jawlines. I don't think Rowling was like describing them as 16-year-olds with great jawlines and stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's geeks with jawlines.
What?
Oh.
There are geeks with jawlines.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is, she didn't describe, in the later books, she didn't have to describe them because,
Because you keep running with the same look.
Like. Yeah.
All right. Here's P. Leif, I believe. £2. Look out. Harry Potter was a wizard jock, sports golden boy. I don't know if flying on a broomstick makes you a jock, but okay.
Did you just say £2?
Is that not a pound? What is that?
That's a euro.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a euro.
The euro sign. You uncultured swine.
Yeah.
What don't you...
I'm leaning back in my chair. I should probably sit up straight. There you go. Okay.
£2.
All right. So was he a jock? I think he just played scribbage or whatever it was called. What is it called? I never read the books.
Quidditch.
Quibbage.
Oh my god.
I don't know these
Seriously,
books.
Smud, if my girlfriend could hear you now, she'd rip your head off.
Really?
She's an absolute massive Harry Potter fan. But
the
Quidditch,
movies are shit.
Quidditch. All right.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Quidditch
is... Yeah, they are terrible. So are the books. But what I'm saying is... They are kind of right.
Could hear you now.
I don't care. I can take her. But what I'm going to say is, yeah, they are right, because Quidditch is like the most popular sport, and Harry was like one of the best seekers. So yeah, he is like a sports golden boy.
Was that
He's like the
muscles?
Tom Brady.
Well, yeah, but was that the
No, it's on
his
riding
physique?
your broomstick.
Yeah, it's magic, right?
It's on riding your broomstick and throwing a ball or something.
Maybe in the wizard world, being really magically attuned or whatever makes you a jock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So their sensibilities of attractiveness is different than our sensibilities. So it wouldn't make any difference to the audience either way. So it's
I already don't understand the thing of this is a wizard school, so it's a brainy thing. It's a purely brainy thing. Yet you have sports jocks.
No, that's fine.
I thought sports jocks are dumb. How would they prevail in a wizard school?
There's sports in every university and college and high school.
Are there other schools that can compete against?
Yeah. Hogwarts
Where are
isn't the only
wizard
school.
schools?
Yeah.
Well, Whisp, if you've read the books, and you know that in
I
Goblet
don't
of Fire...
want to read the
that's whole
shitty
point.
books. I've seen passages from them for like, this is not great.
There's literally, like, 2 other schools and do a Tri-Wizard tournament. It's the plot of an entire movie.
Let's say...
So there's 3 magic schools in the world.
No, there's one in every country. Listen, I'm not an expert on Harry Potter. I just have to sit through every single movie, right?
Let's just say the wizards are awesome at. If they're awesome at magic, they're considered better than everyone else. So the same way the jocks are muscular and strong, wizards are magical controllers better than everyone else. So within the lore, I don't even know if that's true, but I don't really care. So
have you ever seen a muscular wizard in the Harry Potter films? No, I haven't. So
yeah, that's true. That's why
you don't roll your wizards with Constitution 18?
No offense, Dumbledore. Dumbledore was the badass of the wizarding world. The bloke's 115 years old and looks like he could crumble to dust.
Yeah, it's because he's not a hobbit.
Yeah, whenever I play Pathfinder, I crank up my my dexterity stat, so my wizards are super quick and running away.
What? But you need Constitution because otherwise they just die.
My wizard's got a 10 strength. What?
That's fine.
Maximum strength.
It punches.
I beat people to death with my wand.
Yeah, I what is it? Dual class as a monk. So you punch people, you throw a fireball, and everything just explodes. Punching isn't working. Let's try fire. Bah. Oops.
Oh dear.
Anyway.
Were geeky, and you.
Did you know that was going to happen? Did you sort of think they might?
Idiot. I'm not an idiot.
I also want to say that Emma Watson did an incredible job playing Hermione, and I really can't and don't want to imagine anyone else in that role. And that applies to everyone in the series, maybe with the exception of Gilderoy Lockhart, who, funnily enough, I think isn't anywhere near as good looking as described in the books, especially considering he's supposed to be in his 20s, not 40s. But that's the opposite of what we're talking about, so back to Hermione.
He looks goofy.
Said to me, I've only ever acted in school drama plays before, and God, oh my God, I'm so nervous, I can't believe I got the part. And then she spoke for like 60 seconds at least without drawing breath, and I just said, Emma, you're perfect. And then when I met her, and she was this very beautiful... Yeah. Which she still is, of course, a beautiful girl. I just kind of had to go, okay.
Oh, you can already hear Emma Watson saying, I don't take this anymore, JK. I'm not,
I'm not
I don't
your
like
shield.
you saying nice.
I'm not your female idol.
Yeah.
How dare you represent me that way?
Have you seen recently about what Emma Watson said about feminists, by the way?
What'd she
About
say?
whom?
She said, I think feminism is just about hating men. I don't think it's right. And everyone's response was, no, you can't be serious, Emma. Gosh, what a shocker.
Seriously? Wasn't she the big feminist activist for years? Or was that someone else?
No, she was.
She went to the UN for what reason? Was it climate change or?
No, for women.
For women? Okay.
Isn't she now old? Isn't she now? Yeah. Wasn't she the one who married herself?
What?
Yes, she did.
Excuse me.
She married herself.
She couldn't find the right partner, so she married herself.
I never heard that. Okay.
And I think now she's. I mean, how old is she now? I think she's barren at this point.
Jesus Christ, Wisp.
Okay.
I think she's pushing 30.
All right. Anyway, no one was expecting...
Good time to wake up. She still has some time.
No one was expecting how cute or attractive this Emma Watson was, including J.K. Rowling. Fantastic. That's good.
Okay, it's film. Deal with it. I'm going to still see my gawky, geeky, ugly duckling Hermione in my mind, but... Do you think...
We've established that I think Emma Watson is still great in the role, and J.K. Rowling herself says that despite her being too good looking, she thinks Emma is a great actress and similar to Hermione in a lot of other ways, so it didn't really matter to her. However, not all fans of the book feel this way, as I've seen many people online and in real life that are bothered by this case of adaptational attractiveness. So I've always questioned...
Look, you could have just given, as a kid, when you did the first and second movie, you could just given her these buck teeth implants, and she would have then had to learn to speak with them without a lisp.
Yeah, I'm thinking
if the actor of Quark could manage it in DS9, then Hermione can do it.
I'm thinking of Tyrion Lannister, just because he's always described as absolutely hideous, and in the show he's not, but it makes perfect sense that people still see him as hideous, and everyone doesn't want to be around him because he's ugly and he's crazy.
Yeah, well, his dwarfism makes him at least stand out extremely. because dwarfism usually also leads to very pronounced facial features.
Sure, and
which can be, some people see it as ugly, others don't. It also depends on how it manifests.
Yeah, but
an old acquaintance of mine, he's an elementary school teacher, which is I think it's a absolutely insane idea. With because you're not taller than these 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and that you still have to be the authority in the room. His face wasn't affected. Like he looked perfectly fine.
Right.
He just was small and had the tiny limbs.
It never detracted from the believability of his character in the scenes that people were reacting that way. And even if the makeup department made him even more unattractive, it'd be like it's the same. Like, you don't have to do that. Then he got a scar anyway, and that was like, oh, it looks badass now. Like, that was kind of cool. And people still thought of him as uglier because he has a scar, which is, again, totally believable. So
I didn't think so. I think he looked awesome.
Yeah, no, to the audience, but in the story, he's even more disfigured as a result. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, because in the story, his nose gets cut off.
Oh, God, yeah. So...
Actually, that's really ironic that you just mentioned that, because Peter Dinklage later went on to do another case of adaptational attractiveness with that Serrano movie.
Oh, really?
Didn't he? Well, yeah, because Serrano in the novel and the stories is a French sort of noble with a massive nose. Yeah, in the new adaptation, he's a dwarf.
I didn't see that. I never heard of that.
No one saw it. It was terrible.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just bullshit.
So they changed all that. Also, I really like the fact that they made tons of black people in pre-revolution France. And I'm just like, haha, that's just not what happened.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, then.
So a dwarf is also a master swordsman and a musician.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so funny because obviously he's doing all these like tricks and like sword things, and the other actors are awkwardly having to point downwards to allow him to do it.
Stab this small target with this huge sword. Like, okay, I can't.
I saw more convincing sword play in Muppets Treasure Island.
Oh.
So you know.
Oh, that
It was
sounds
terrible.
silly. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, there's only 10 of you. I thought there'd be 100 to kill. And you're like, Peter, you are 4 foot nothing. You are not coming across as cool. You look adorable.
That's just, it's just
There's a
silly.
scene where he's in part of the French army, and it's after a battle and they're marching off, and then it like waits 5 minutes when you see him slowly trying to run after him, and you're just laughing more than like, oh, I was just going, oh, look at his little legs, he can't keep up.
Shouldn't you rather play Napoleon?
Yeah, I don't know.
Napoleon wasn't short though.
I know, but at least you could sell him as, okay, let's do the propaganda version of Napoleon, where he is short.
Mm-hmm.
And completely hubristic all over his head, because that's why they said he was short.
Yeah, but imagine they hired a non-peer.
And it seems Peter Dinklage is doing that right now. Like he's high on his success.
Well, imagine
Well,
they hired.
the thing is, Peter Dinklage doesn't want any other dwarf actors doing anything, does he? So
That's what I mean. Like,
no, didn't he just crash a project for dwarf actors?
Oh,
yeah,
With
Snow White.
he complained about a new Snow White adaptation, a real life adaptation of Snow White, using dwarf actors as that being what's the word? One of these stupid prejudice words.
Sizist.
what?
Yeah, it's exploiting dwarf people, dwarfism people, and what that basically does is he is the dwarfism actor in Hollywood who's at the top, who's being cast for everything right now. If you make a movie with 7 actors with dwarfism that are all really good, he's getting competition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just imagine that they got some other guy that is not well known who happens to be a dwarf and who also had a very unattractive face, or they actually did makeup to that. that would be more accurate to the books, which is fine, but no one would know this guy. Would he have the same acting chops? Would he have the same presence as Peter Dinklage? Probably not, and it wouldn't be as attractive.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Yeah, but let's just assume that, because you take the thing which is more accurate to the book. But there's so many.
If Peter Dinklage becomes too expensive at some point, they will look to other actors because they realized, people are actually fine with actors with dwarfism in main and leading roles.
Right, but the hardcore people who would actually care about that, because the books are so detailed and big and there's so many things going on, they'd be like, well, it's not that big a deal because they've changed so many other things throughout the 8 or 9 years that this show has been on. So the appearance of a guy or a girl being ugly, even though they're not ugly, like literally to the audience, but to the world, is much less important than the actual lore and the understanding of what's happening to the character. So the character is supposed to be seen as ugly, and if he's depicted as ugly in the show, that's fine, even though we see him as different. That doesn't make a difference, because it's all about the believability of the world they're in. And if the world says they're ugly, and unless it's like comically stupid, like
well, see if Peter Dinklage was actually 6'4", and everyone was like, "Oh, look at that midget," you'd be like,
that would be stupid. That'd be weird. It wouldn't make any sense. But with this, it's a dwarf. He has a scar. He's not the hottest looking dwarf in the world, I guess. And that world would say, they'd look down on guys like that, and that's fair. That's totally normal.
They literally do look down, and but dwarfism would have been taken badly back then, because not back then, but in that world, because it's like you're not a real man by medieval standards of which Game of Thrones takes place. So it's still believable, but anyway,
this is.
You'd be likely working in the mines.
You've probably been killed as a child.
It's why they had children working in the mines as well as people with dwarfism, because they need smaller tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
So you can dig faster into the mountain. And that's all that is. It's for practicality.
I can just imagine the dwarfs dug too deep. Oh no.
Yeah. And then that's part of where some of these myths also come from, are inspired from. Because this is how things go. Anyway, to come back to Hermione, give her the buck teeth implants, like the prosthetics, and when in the third movie you just take him out because she's grown up.
Well, you could just cast a spell, and she's gorgeous again.
That shit. That no.
It does exist.
That. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, but it's part of the lore.
That's shit you're writing.
It's
shoot the writer if he does that.
They do that in the books, I think. Else I'm wrong.
Really? I stand by my statement.
They do a lot. They do a lot of things in the books which never got. The thing is, Emma Watson, when she was 11 and 12, looked quite close to the character, and I'll give them that. Apart from the book team, it's just the fact that the movies stopped being made a year after each of them, and there start being gaps. So obviously, actors are going to do other stuff. They're going to grow up, and it's just going to look different. And that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going.
Kids don't stay kids.
If it mattered. Does the lack of buck teeth, bushy hair, and overall outward geekiness that the character should possess have an effect on her and the movies? As for specific examples within the story where this is the case, right away I think of the Yule Ball. If you're unfamiliar, this is a chapter from the 4th book and scene from the movie Goblet of Fire, where Hermione, who is attending a ball at the school, gets a sort of Cinderella moment, or a Mia from the Princess Diaries moment. It's something we've seen a million times. Girl takes off her glasses, straightens her hair, and suddenly, oh my god, what a transformation, she's turning heads. I'm not a big fan of that trope. I think it's something we've seen too many times. But in this instance, in the book at least...
Okay, I'm starting to get the feeling that this guy is a male feminist who grovels.
Who cares? Honestly, it doesn't matter what he thinks. This is
Yeah.
He doesn't understand the female psyche.
It's so subjective. I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's
He's off this. Yeah, he's just off this mindset of, oh, but girls are always attractive. Like, yeah, and you seem to have an unsatisfied sex drive. Get a girlfriend, for fuck's sake.
I would never push that sort of punishment on somebody and get a girlfriend. Jesus Christ.
It actually makes for what I think is one of the best moments of the series. Aside from being very entertaining, it's because of everything it does for character development. For Hermione, this is a moment where we get to see a side of her that we don't otherwise get to see.
It was quite a big deal for me that I had written, a strong female character who was primarily about brain, and that she chose to become a little more groomed and glamorous as us geeks do at a certain point in our lives. But
there's a vulnerability to knowing that you're someone who the whole school views in one particular way, and taking the effort to change that, even if just for a school dance, saying, hey, there's more to me that you aren't seeing, I think is a really sweet and relatable moment for the character. But translating this onto screen was a bit of a mess, mainly because Hermione's transformation wasn't much of a transformation at all.
In the fourth film, where she comes downstairs and there is supposed to have been this transformation.
Well, exactly.
Because we're all looking going, well, she was already a beautiful girl.
Yeah, big deal. Now she's a beautiful girl in a beautiful dress.
Yeah, Tyler Preston says it right in the chat. It's a female power fantasy. The blossoming up into the girl thinks she's an ugly duckling, regardless of whether she is or not, and the dream is to be this all beautiful princess that everybody looks upon and everybody wants.
Yeah, but this is no difference than saying the natural her is attractive, and now she's the makeup her or this pretty dress her is just another form of attractiveness. That's totally fine, and you could have the best friends go, whoa, wow, I wasn't expecting that because I see you every day.
It's what makes her aware of her own beauty.
Yeah,
of her attractiveness.
That's totally fine.
And that opens her eyes to that.
And I don't see this as a problem because even if the creators are like, well, she was always attractive, it's like, yeah, but now she's attractive in another light. And that could be visual, that could be audio, that could be acting, that could be anything. It doesn't matter.
It's highlighted.
It doesn't.
It's highlighted, and this is what I mean. This is an important psychological moment. There is a psychological awakening of, oh, I am actually beautiful. They are looking at me. They do like me. That's genuine.
Right, and she could be really nice in one scene. She could be really heroic in one scene. It doesn't really matter what the scene is. You just see her in a new light, and you're attracted to her as a result. And that the difference is the visual is faster. We pick it up easier. It's like, oh, she looks more sensual, more feminine, whatever. Fine. One trait we already knew she had, exemplified. Fantastic.
In the books, Harry literally doesn't recognize her. He thinks she's someone else. That's how big of a transformation it was. So just on a basic level, the effect of seeing a character completely transform before our eyes is taken away. But digging a little deeper than that, I think the bigger problem is it does away with, or at least dampens the ways in which this moment has added to character. For example, with Viktor Krum. One of the reasons I love this chapter so much is because it did so much for Krum as a character and made him 1,000,000 times more interesting and likable than I thought he was. Hermione sees beyond the facade of his celebrity, and he sees her for more than just a bushy-haired bookworm long before everyone else does. Back when she barely even registered as a girl to her closest friends. It's not the same in the movie, because in the movie, Krum is simply asking a pretty girl to be his date. There's a part in the book where Harry and Ron talk about needing dates to the Yule Ball.
We should get a move on, Ask someone. He's right. We don't want to end up with a pair of trolls. Hermione let out a splutter of indignation. A pair of what? Excuse me? Well, said Ron, shrugging. I'd rather go alone than with Eloise Midgin, say. Her acne's loads better lately, and she's really nice. Her nose is off-centre, said Ron.
Just imagine how it feels for book Hermione, knowing she also has the physical flaws just like the girls Ron is comparing to trolls. That's why it's so great that someone came along who actually values her intelligence. Someone who waited at the library for her on numerous occasions, trying to build up the courage to ask her to the ball. And he saw the beauty in her long before she got glammed up. But in the movie, because Emma Watson could easily be the most attractive girl at Hogwarts, it comes across in a completely different way. Krum doesn't get this character development because, again, he is just a handsome guy asking a good-looking girl to the ball. And for Hermione, she's just a pretty girl that got asked to the ball. Not a big deal. There's no more layers to it beyond that. So there's one way you can see this case of adaptational attractiveness impacting the story and character. However, the Yule Ball is...
I'm going to be brutally honest here. The Goblet of Fire is just a terrible adaptation of a book anyway. Considering the fact that it's one of the shortest movies, but also the longest book.
It sounds like there wasn't that much to adapt, if that's the case. Or it was...
No, there was a hell of a lot to adapt. They cut so much out.
Probably because it wasn't worth it.
Like, why did you even bother doing it?
Yeah.
I don't think I saw this one. I think I saw the first 2 and the last 3.
Yeah, I barely watched these movies. I think I'm going to watch the first one, and that was about.
And I was forced into every single one of them. The first one, I don't even remember what the ending was. Like, I only remember the first half of it. The second one was atrocious, and I never wanted to see another Harry Potter movie. And then I was forced into, I don't know, probably the one before the last, which was 2 movies, where it was just some stupid teen drama crap that didn't even make sense and was just annoying.
They the problem is they cut so much out in this book that it made the later ones, like, there's a lot of plot threads that they couldn't start up again. So everything seems incredibly rushed. I only know this because I had to sit through all 8 movies with my girlfriend. That's time I'm never getting back. But yeah, it's that's the problem. It's like there's a lot of problems with the adaptations of Harry Potter. And to be honest with you, Emma Watson looking slightly attractive at school. I don't know. She does what she needs to do.
All right. So here's the Giga Chat. Thank you, sir. The equivalent for a guy or a piece of media aimed at a guy is a conventionally attractive actor playing a nebbish bookwork, but maybe you mean bookworm, who's still somewhat attractive, but having a training montage and getting buff. I think a montage in general is easier to communicate ideas for training or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I think the proper example would probably be a book, or does it say a character? I don't know, a really nerdy character, but being played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. If it's not your whole movie that is about this slow transition from ugly duckling to buff guy or pretty girl, then do it in a montage. Because that's all you have time for. Anything else, if you want to draw this out, the more you draw this out, the more obnoxious it can get. Because you don't have enough time to really flesh this character out in that fashion. It's hard to pull off. I agree, do the montage.
All right.
I can't really find any other direct consequences of them not giving Emma Watson fake teeth, or them neglecting to keep her hair big and bushy beyond the second film. And considering that in 8 movies, that's 19 hours and 39 minutes
because
worth of
that's
film,
a silly
and yet there's only one glaring example I can think of, you can make
have.
the argument that adaptational attractiveness doesn't really matter in this instance. And I'm inclined to agree. But like I said earlier, there's one universal way it does have an effect, and that's with character relatability. It's not a scene that you can pinpoint, and it isn't something that I can say impacts all audience members that watch the movie. But when you take away the physical flaws or imperfections that a character possesses, you're taking away an aspect to that character that very many people related to.
Unless
no, you fucking idiot. You are lacking. People who can't do that don't have empathy. They're narcissists. We should not cater to them ever. At all.
He set this up.
That's what ruins everything. That's where we got this racist tokenism from.
He set this up right at the start. The description of Hermione is not, she's not attractive, she's not ugly, she's just a bookworm, she's got some buck teeth, and she's bushy hair. Mm-hmm. That's it. You can do whatever the hell you want with her as an adaptation. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't take away from her characters and add to her character. You're hiring a person to play that. Can you do that? You're a bookworm. You're egotistical. You're sure of yourself. You're smart. Go. That's it. She's not like harboring a dark and troubled past where her parents died and she's a sole owner of a house that no one wants or knows anymore. It's like, no, she's just a girl.
Yeah, she's not Batman.
Yeah. Well, watch the latest Star Treks. Everyone has a dark and troubled past. You're like, holy shit, what the
No, don't watch the latest Star Trek.
Everyone,
Star Trek.
The future is so perfect, except all the people we've seen on screen that they have these horrible lives.
The thing is, the future's so perfect, apart from the future they're showing. You're like, oh my god.
And by the
This is
way,
a wonderful time to be alive.
While
wish you were dead.
While we're on that, don't watch the Batman. Instead, watch the Crow. It's the same movie, just competent and less cringy.
Okay. I mean, I've still not seen the Batman, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Just watch the Crow.
I've seen the Crow.
Yeah, that's the Batman, but better.
Okay, let's go.
And the thing that I found with cases of adaptational attractiveness is that it's very commonly accompanied by the same thing being done to the character's personality. By that I mean, when they're willing to take away a character's physical imperfections, they are likely to do the same with the flaws of a character's personality and actions. Appearance aside, the way Hermione is written in the movies is quite different to the books, and this is probably a result of her being the screenwriter's favorite character.
I don't think so. I really like that is stretching it.
Yeah, this is like, yeah, I don't know.
A scriptwriter takes what they can and they work with it, saying, okay, who's playing this role? How do I make it work? You can't just write lines without giving the actor direction. So the director takes the script from the scriptwriter and says, okay, is this what you wanted? You want her to be scared or sure of herself, or like, what do you want? And the director ultimately has the final say. And he says, okay, I think this should be working like this. And then the producer makes sure that's okay. The writer says, yeah, that was my intention in the first place. Like there's details that need to be fleshed out. To say that she's the favorite, even in that case, what's your point? What does favoritism do? Oh, is there going to be more scenes? No, they're going to be the same number of scenes. They're not going to change the script. So they might focus on her a bit longer for dramatic effect or delivery, but other than that, no, script is done.
I remember very specifically leaning over to you and saying, I think I need to tell you that Harry's not my favorite character.
Which was fine. And then you said?
Hermione. And it was true because Hermione was the character that, and it stayed throughout.
I can make a whole other video breaking down in detail what my problems are with how she's written in the movies, but in summary, the problem is she's perfect. She's smart, strong, fearless, and once you add Emma Watson into the mix, she's gorgeous too. Of course, book Hermione has these strengths as well, but the difference is they are often balanced out by her flaws. While smart, she's
written like a Mary Sue.
This is...
No, so... It literally boils down to, she's exactly the same apart from Emma Watson's kind of attractive. It's like, okay.
Yeah. She's exactly the same as the book, except played by Emma Watson. And Emma Watson is an attractive girl. And you're like, what's your point?
Mm-hmm.
What difference does that make?
Yeah.
So is he telling us that by his own description, Emma Watson, Hermione is a Mary Sue?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they all are in this fucking thing. It's so shockingly bad. This is why I think that, it's kind of telling that once all the Harry Potter fans have grown up, there's a vast increase in mental illness. Seriously, they're nuts. But the whole series is just 3 Mary Sues going around Mary Suing everything.
Well, Ron is at least a comic relief. That's less Mary Sue.
Start with, and it just becomes all. Just terrible. It all sucks. Anyway,
isn't always capable of applying that to every situation.
Devil's snare, devil's snare. What did Professor Sprout say? It lights the dark and the damp. So light a fire, Harry choked. Yes, of course, but there's no wood, Hermione cried, wringing her hands. Have you gone mad? Ron bellowed. Are you a witch or not? Lucky you pay attention in herbology, Hermione, said Harry, as he joined her by the wall, wiping sweat off his face. Yeah, said Ron, and lucky Harry doesn't lose his head in a crisis. There's no wood. Honestly.
She panics, and it takes Ron reminding her that she's a witch for her to act upon what she already knows. However, it's completely different in the movie.
I
thought they're sorcerers.
Devil snare. It's deadly fun. But we'll sulk in the sun, that's it! Devil snare hates sunlight. Luma Solem.
As always, there's no panic and she doesn't need any help. We see this over and over again in the series. Whether she's taking heroic lines that are supposed to be said by Ron,
If you want to kill Harry, you'll have to kill us too.
or how she fearlessly leads and protects the trio out of any tough situation, or how the only time we get to see an off-putting aspect of her personality is in the first movie. I love Hermione, but movie Hermione is too perfect. And the more perfect a character is, the less relatable they become, because perfect people don't exist. So herein lies the problem I have with adaptational attractiveness.
That's a weird
I really
thing to
don't.
Oh my god, sorry, I keep pressing pause, sorry.
What? I don't understand what anyone's saying.
Perfect people don't exist, therefore they're unrelatable. You're like, what?
That's not true. I'm pretty perfect. So
in a way, the way that people like Captain Marvel are portrayed, for example.
Yeah, but
this
that's not...
really horrible, unlikable person that is unrelatable, but not because she's perfect, but because the world warps around her as if everybody loves her.
Yeah, but
that makes it unrelatable.
According to the narrative,
I think people are totally likable, like the God Emperor.
But this is nothing more than a self-fulfilling prophecy bias he's trying to attempt here, because he's like, well, I believe it's relatability, and here's an example of a perfection, and therefore it's unrelatability because she's perfect and those don't exist. You're like, that's not logical, sir. That's not how this works. We don't like people who are perfect because the way that they go about their business doesn't make sense within the story. That they happen to be in the right place at the right time, they have the right thing to do, and they solve all the problems in the first attempt, and like it's just logic, probability, it just goes out the door. It's not that
people who do the right thing in the right moment have courage. But they tend to be inspiring.
It's not impossible to your brain
we don't need
process.
to know.
It's like, oh my god, they did everything right. It's like, are they the character to do everything right? Then it's not impossible.
When you have the brains of the organization, that's the thing of the group. She's the brains. Harry's the leader, and Ron's like the heart. I think that's what it's meant to be like. So they each have their role. So
the thing is, when you have very competent, strong characters, they're usually there for inspiration, and you're just not, when they're well written at least, you're just not aware of their flaws, or they become apparent much later in the story. Maybe in a later installment.
Here is the Giga Chad. Hey, Giga Chad. Harry Potter is packed to the brim with one-note characters, a lame world building, basic-ass magic mechanics, a dishwater main character, his jerk-off friends, and it's loved by mentally stunted adults. I believe in Lord of the Rings supremacy. Okay, well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Tolkien and Rowling.
I know I'm literally calling my girlfriend a mentally stunted adult, but yes, they are mentally stunted when it comes to Harry Potter.
It's I try to give the example of hard science fiction, soft science fiction, and then sci-fi. It does have a magic system within the world, which is fine, but I wouldn't say it's hard. It's a hard magic or a hard fantasy.
Oh, not at all.
There's a lot.
As far as I've seen, what I've seen of Harry Potter, they come up with spells out of the blue for whatever is needed right now. It's basically Deus Ex, the magic system.
Yeah, magical Latin words.
Deus Ex magic.
And you wave your wand, you practice twice, and you can do it. The spell. It's like, okay, sure. Turn people into nothing and transport your body all over the place. It's like, whoa. Okay.
And then we do the big energy beam fight. Roar, roar, no, my green energy beam is stronger than your red energy beam. Roar, roar.
It's like, what was it? It's like the thing with Harry Potter always got me with the world building is how it doesn't quite it doesn't quite fit, because the world's not as big as, well, Britain's not as big as like Harry Potter needs it to be for all this stuff to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense half the time. So I mean, there's literally a forest in Scotland now that has 20-foot man-eating spiders in it, and
must be a very big forest.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's a huge forest. I'm like, but there's no real huge forests, and people go, oh, it's the magic around it. It's like, we don't really say there's that much magic around it.
Yeah, so there can't be a lot of those spiders in there because the forest would need to be big enough to provide enough food for them. So it must be one of those forests that's bigger on the inside. Because other than that, it's just, if you just take England, England from north to south is just as big as the north of Germany is wide. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
Or I think just half of it. It's just half as wide as the north of Germany is wide. And that's really not much. It's like, what is it, 300 something kilometers?
I mean, it's all right, like with the book saying it's set in the 90s when there's no like internet and there's other stuff. But once they start moving the movies and they've set it in like what was the present day, it's a bit like it doesn't really work.
Once you have cars and broomsticks to zoom around, it gets really quick, and it becomes a very small place. Like even around the 9th, 10th century, when you had all these battles between the Anglos, the Saxons, and the Danes, you had basically this Game of Thrones thing going on. But in Game of Thrones, Westeros is a giant continent where it takes weeks to get from one side to the other. In what later became England, it's just a day's ride if you have a horse. A day's ride from one castle to the other, or half a day.
It's, I mean, with like the Battle of Hastings, the Norman Conquest, Alfred the Great beat the Vikings off in the north of England and did a 4-day march down to the south coast. So it was only 4 days of marching and riding. So it's not that big.
Yeah, that's nothing.
The world building of Harry Potter just doesn't make a lot of sense with me. And with a lot of because my girlfriend's got that Fantastic Beasts, the actual book with all the animals in, and you look at it and you're like, these animals can't exist. Some of them are like 60-foot animals that roam the countryside, and you're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I thought all this wizard stuff is hidden from the normal Muggle world.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's just tons of magic that's hiding it. Like,
it's so full of this. It's so full of all this magic shit that it's impossible that the normal people can't stumble across it at random.
Yeah,
it's like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the later seasons. Technically, this is supposed to all this mystical stuff is supposed to be unknown to normal people. Of course, in Sunnydale, eventually they adapt to it. Although nobody ever gets this emergency pack of just walking around with a couple of stakes and the cross and holy water. Like you would expect that everyone to walk around with that. And when you then bring Angel into that, which is I think in LA. LA or San Francisco, one of these horrible places. And it's basically as many demons in that town as there are humans, running entire casinos and everything without any disguise. Like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there is no masquerade. So how are there still humans that do not know of the mystical shit going on? Harry Potter seems to have the same problem. It makes no sense.
Okay. 4 minutes left. This guy's arguments aren't that hot. His examples are really weird.
he's chosen something that's a bit like, I can see where he's coming from, but then he's gone like, yeah, it's like, it's not really done anything. It's just like, it grew up to be a bit more good looking.
Yeah, part of this is just plain acting. Like the willing suspension of disbelief is people believe Hermione is not that attractive, and then once she puts on a getup, then she is, and that's enough. I don't need any more. I don't need to know that, yeah, she's Emma Watson, she's already hot. No, I don't need to know that. Doesn't bother me. Not a big deal.
She might not be hot to other people.
Yeah, no, she's not. Like, I don't think she's that attractive to begin with. She is nice to look at. She sounds nice. She acts well. That's enough. In that world, in that fiction, if she isn't, and the story tells me she isn't, and everyone disagrees, that's enough. Mm-hmm. That's all I need. Now, if she's like a supermodel, then I'd be confused. I'd be like, wait. She's 6 foot. She's this bust, and like, okay, what's going on here? Are you guys blind or something? But no, she's a 17-year-old girl.
Like retarded or something?
Yeah. Like, what do these wizards actually get off on? I have no idea. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Porcelain is the 4. Thanks again. Harry Potter, but in New Jersey, Joyzy, everyone is played by the cast of The Sopranos. Harthany Portrano and the Gabagool of Fire. Voldemort is played by Frank Vincent. The boy who lived finally brought his shine box. Oh.
I only watched the pilot episode so far. Does the series actually grip you at some point?
The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
My God, yeah.
Because I've heard so much good about it.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Pilot episode didn't really grip me.
It's like the greatest show on television for God knows how long, until Breaking Bad, I guess.
Did you actually watch The Sopranos, or did you watch a German thing of a series of unfortunate events in New Jersey?
No. Maybe it's just because it's the pilot that it's a bit slow or something.
Don't watch the pilot. Just watch the actual first episode, because things change.
It says episode 1 pilot.
I wonder if the translation from Gabagool is like Schnitzel /
I'm certainly not watching a fucking dub. German. I told you, German dubs have gone down the drain in the 2000s.
All right.
Well, good thing that Sopranos is from the 90s, then, isn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they were translated in the 90s.
Well, there are some silly things that would never happen in the world of real mafia, but that's fine. You don't have to know that.
Are you sure?
That's another thing I think is really important, that you don't.
Do you know that, or are you just trying to play down your Italian guild?
No. This is if this show starts with a made man talking to a psychiatrist. The next day, those two people will never be seen of again. Like, that would never happen in the mafia world.
Okay, I can accept that.
Yeah. So there's a few problems, but other than that, it's fun. It's fine story. Lots of drama, lots of funny scenes, lots of Italian Joyzy things going on that I couldn't understand, but that's fine.
New Jersey. He's a bubbly boobly. You're talking to me.
Don't even.
I kill your mother. You know what?
That may as well be accurate for all I know. Yeah, I do.
That's series 6 of The Sopranos. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, they did get actual not informants. They got like consultants that were part of the mob to make it accurate.
Yeah.
I remember one of them was like, the mafia bosses don't wear pants or don't wear shorts or something like that. I was like, what? Is that a thing? Yeah, there's a scene where Tony's grilling something and he's wearing shorts, and I was like, that probably wouldn't happen. I was like, maybe guys just wear stuff. I don't see why not. Who knows? I don't know. Stuff like that, like little details that you wouldn't even think about. But that's okay. Anyway, let's continue.
Mind if it's really just about making a character handsome or pretty. But if this glossing up of a character extends to every imperfection they have, just so that we end up with a flawless character that is very easy to love, then that bothers me. There's another character whom over the past 7 or so years has kind of given me Hermione Granger flashbacks, as I think his case of adaptational attractiveness tells a very similar story to that of hers, and that's Tyrion Lannister. Let's start slowly from an appearance point of view. Tyrion is described as a dwarf with stubby legs, a brutish face, a jutting forehead, mismatched eyes of green and black, and a mixture of pale blonde and black hair. He also loses most of his nose in the Battle of Blackwater. In the show though, Tyrion is played by Peter Dinklage, who is rather handsome, and the only effort made in changing his appearance is by giving him a scar. Now, like with Emma Watson, I feel the need to state that Peter
Look, get back to that. Look, do you see how askew his nose is? And how asymmetrical his eyes are? Yes, he doesn't look completely hideous, but he's not entirely a looker. Like, what's this frame before here? This one. Look at his nose.
He's still a dwarf. It's just people look down on Tyrion because he's a dwarf to begin with. It's like the other stuff is just extra. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's in the book, many things are even more extreme than in the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's Porcelainus the Fourth. Whisp sounds like she never had the makings of a varsity athlete. But anyway, Whisp, you'd probably like The Sopranos. It actually does portray mental illness well and not as a sanitized Tumblr way that modern media is cursed with. Yeah, that's kind of expected. You wouldn't have a story about a psychiatrist and a mob boss and they'd be making shit up. That'd be kind of weird. So
okay, look deeper into it. I ran out of shows lately anyway, and then I found this and thought like, I remember this. People kept talking about it. Maybe I should give it a watch.
Yeah, it's not like the Lucifer adaptation with
oh god,
the psychiatrist talking to.
Don't remind me of that. That is not an adaptation.
I'm not sure what that is.
that is.
He's British. How? I don't know. He just is.
Is that if anything, it's a form of plagiarism that disguises itself as an adaptation. Because it just takes names from another story and certain looks, like pun not intended, the name and logo of the nightclub that Lucifer is running, which is called Lux. Light, the light bringer. Haha.
Ooh. All right.
Hey, at least people are giving you good recommendations. Because my girlfriend asked if I wanted to watch a new Netflix Resident Evil show. Oh my god!
Don't do it.
Oh dear.
Where does she get her recommendations from?
She's got the Netflix app, and it goes, "Oh, you might want to watch this," and I'm a bit like, "No."
She needs to learn to not trust the app.
Oh dear.
She's the one to not trust Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, what are you looking for? What kind of show?
What am I looking for? What, in a show? I don't know, something actually half decent, but isn't just... The problem with a lot of Netflix shows are they're usually 13 episodes long, and episodes 2 to 11 have nothing in them. Apart from filler.
Yeah. So
all the characters are usually unlikable, and then you just end up with, like, boring stuff where you don't actually care about what happens to people, and I don't like it. It's a bit
after Chad recommended it to me, I have watched The Last Kingdom now, and it is mostly bearable. It has its weaknesses and oddities, but it's okayish. Just the last season is it goes into late season Game of Thrones territory where the pacing is completely off, the writing gets dumb, bullshit lines are inserted, and especially the last battle doesn't make any fucking sense, especially time wise. But that aside, you have 4 seasons of decentish content going on.
All right.
I think you'd like that. Give that a chance.
Let's continue.
Now, like with Emma Watson, I feel the need to state that Peter Dinklage is killing it as Tyrion, and is easily my favorite casting choice of the series. The reason I see a similarity in the portrayal of these two characters is this. Yes, like Hermione, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find many instances in the 7 seasons where Peter Dinklage being handsome has significantly altered the story. So on a surface level, it isn't really a problem. However, with this considered, I think that the showrunner's inability to showcase what is supposed to be a harsh appearance is a small indicator that paints a bigger picture of how they want audiences to view this character as a whole. Anyone that's read the series knows that it's not just his harsh appearance that gets whitewashed, it's also several other aspects to his character and things he does that gets the same treatment. His complexity and moral ambiguity is brushed aside so that we can get a snarky hero that is impossible to hate. Take his relationship with...
It's not just him, it's the entire series is written in a different way with different events and others completely left out, characters left out.
Once season 4 is over, it's free reign for Dumb and Dumber to do whatever they want to do.
It's basically fan fiction after that.
Yeah,
they would need entire 24 episode seasons of constantly going for decades to adapt all the material properly. It just would take too long.
It was a decade. Yeah.
Yeah, but they cut out so much content. They changed so much stuff.
Yeah, I agree. They should have made a 24 episode series with 1 hour each, where per season.
Yeah, people would pay for it. People would watch it.
And have that run for 10 years, and they might have gotten through. Yeah. And just do it at the pace that the story needs, and not let's rush through the stuff. They don't know. This was a money printer, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, hire new directors when they get tired. They don't want to do anything. Hire new actors if they get tired, if they don't want to do it. It's very simple. It's like, this actor's now being played by someone else. Thank you, show.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
And even then, if you get tired of it as the actor, you had TNG ran forever. DS9 ran forever. The thing is, those characters, and thereby their actors, are icons of history. They're cultural treasures that have not been forgotten, just like the original Lord of the Rings movies. And while The Hobbit is completely forgotten because it's trash. Game of Thrones, done right, would have been exactly that. These actors and their deeds, their acting, would have been remembered forever. Turning the show into shit makes no one want to rewatch that, and no one recommend it.
I mean,
first 4 seasons, yes, recommended. If the show had not been continued after that, people would still recommend this show, even though it didn't come to a proper ending. But since we have all the bullshit after it, that just turns it to trash. Nobody wants to even give it another thought.
No one
don't want to remember it.
No one talks about it. It never gets brought up in actual conversation. It's forgotten.
Yeah, people don't hold Game of Thrones marathons. If the show had ended on a good note, on quality, people would watch Game of Thrones marathons as they, to this day, watch Lord of the Rings Extended Edition marathons.
Or Star Trek, or all kinds of sci-fi.
Yeah, but I bring up especially Lord of the Rings because that's a phenomenon that is still going on. Like, we just did it half a year ago, I think, the last time, because somebody hadn't seen the movies yet. Oh my god! So we all had to get together and watch it together with the one guy who hadn't seen them yet.
All right. Here we go. Porcelain is the 4th. Yeah, anyway, Emma Watson is mid. Legolas is more beautiful than Emma Watson could ever hope to be. And Harry barely changes by the end of the series, at least as a character. That was a weird one.
True. There's no character growth for anybody, really. Everyone just stays the same.
They learn new spells, at least. That's something.
Oh, hooray.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they wasted all that time.
They went to school and learned a new spell. Now they can open up doors with their mind. It's like, okay.
Or you could just use your hand, Harry.
He gets an invisibility cloak. Oh, my God. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's basically Harry Potter magic. Rather reminds me of the proverbial movie witchcraft, where you just wave your hand and say the words. When I think it would have been more interesting with the limitations of the crazy limitations of Dungeons and Dragons. Prepare the fucking spell, and if you don't have the right spells ready, you're fucked.
I still don't know how they teach kids to do it, because all you got to do is say the word and then wave your wand. It's like it's done. It's like, why are the very difficult spells then? And it's just a bit like, I don't know.
All right.
Shay. In the books, it is very apparent that she doesn't love him at all, and that Tyrion was so desperate to be loved that he wouldn't let himself see the reality of what the relationship was. It was clear that he should have known better. Whereas in the show, it's more of a tragic love story rather than the pathetic one-sided love affair we see in the book. In the show, she betrays him because she's a woman scorned, not because she's a woman that's helpless against the likes of Tywin and Cersei, and has to do whatever she can to get by. When he kills her in the book, even if you think he was justified in doing so after her quote-unquote betrayal, he's still killing a defenseless woman who he should have known better than to trust or seek love from. So what if she struck a deal with Cersei after it was offered to her? Is she supposed to say no? Saying no to Cersei Lannister isn't an option if you want to stay alive. Tyrion is incredibly smart. He should...
Yeah, but she could have still tried to warn him, and they could have tried to stage something. Because that's what you usually do when you're in a torn situation. Like, Cersei is... the villain is forcing me to make you die. But I love you and want you to live. What can we do? Oh no, I'm so scared. Like that's what sane people do in these stories. If you just sell out your love, that's you were a shitty person from the start, and that indicates that she didn't actually care about him all this time.
She boiled it down just to a whore, and that was her vocation, and she saw that as just a job. And she said whatever she did to make Tyrion happy, the same with Tywin, the same with whomever she came across.
Yeah. So you can interpret the story just that way.
And that's fine. That's not a huge change in character. It adds to the drama if you want to talk about Tyrion losing his shit and just going out killing people. So
yeah,
I was happy with that. That was awesome. That was like the last 10 minutes of that episode. The last episode of season 4 was like, holy shit, crazy. Like killing Tywin was like, oh my god, that's gonna screw things up. So great show at that point, at least.
Realize this. He realizes it with Bronn, that Bronn is loyal to whoever is paying him and will abandon him for better prospects. But he won't let himself see the same in Shay because of his delusions of love being a possibility in the relationship.
Yeah, he's deluded. Even the smartest guys are blinded by their own feelings. That's totally believable.
Yeah. Yeah, and even the smartest guys can be emotionally manipulated by people way, way dumber than them.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't see a problem.
In the show, however, she's not a defenseless woman. She goes for a knife, which ends up making the killing an act of self-defense instead of straight-up murder. He even apologizes to her body afterwards. They do their best to take away all moral ambiguity from the character and want to protect him as much as they can from any audience backlash.
I don't really think that's what they did. That they did more than what was in the book, and he's like, oh, it's not as gray and ambiguous in the story. It's like, so what? They added more to the exact same scenario by making you see he actually cares about this girl, and she's, I guess, scared because you don't really see her perspective too much. She's just sort of in the background at times. So her grabbing a weapon to protect herself is like, well, what else would she do? Just die? Does she want to?
God, why can't these women just let these men kill them? Yeah. God.
What are these people trying to defend themselves? How dare they?
Why can't these strong, independent women just die like everyone else?
It would be so much more accurate to the stories if only they did that. You're like, yes.
I don't know why she didn't just force her own neck into his hands. You're like, Jesus Christ, man! No, Tyrion, you can't strangle me like this. Strangle me like this. Get your thumbs right onto my windpipe. That's it.
Oh boy, what a strange argument.
Same with him and Sansa. In the book, he gropes her on their wedding night, and he goes further before stopping. In the show, he shuts it down immediately, because he's a hero, and God forbid we let the drunken, sex-crazed aspect of his personality.
He's not really a hero.
Because that part of him is already established.
Also, he's not a hero. I don't know where they're getting that from.
I don't think
Really
I'd want to see him start groping Sansa and just stripping her naked. That'd be a little creepy. Yeah. Sansa was kind of like the innocent flower that you wanted to protect. And wow, did they screw up?
Sansa's a shitty character. I don't give a shit what happens to her. Horrible. Horrible girl.
Any further than just entertainment and comic relief. There's a ton of moments like this where they go to great lengths to whitewash him and make him as sympathetic and endearing as they possibly can. They want him to be insanely likable. They want him to be a fan favorite that's easy to love, which, like Hermione, has resulted in an adaptational attractiveness that extends beyond appearance. That is why, even though by the definition I gave you at the start of the video, one that says adaptational attractiveness is about altering a character's appearance, I think that too often, the beautification of a character is but a symptom of a larger issue with how whoever is doing the adapting is trying to alter a character as a whole. If they only stuck to appearance, then maybe this...
Okay, this is dumb. I wrote about this in my book. The whole point of liking characters, there's two major reasons. One of them is attractiveness, which is such a broad concept, and you could be attracted to any character for any number of reasons, whether it's surface level or they're amazing at something, or they're related to the plot, or they're related to a dramatic element. There's all kinds of reasons. So if you're a scriptwriter and you look at what this character is, and you distill them into the essence of what they are in the moment. It's like, okay, he is lovelorn, he is broken, he is seeking revenge for his life of what his dad has done to him at this point. And if you could amp that up to a character who's going to die anyway, why not do that? Why not go all the way? Why not make it simpler and easier for the audience to digest, as opposed to making this gray morality where we're not sure if she was going for the knife or she wasn't going for the knife, or did she want to die? Was she sorry? Did she love the guy? Like, no, make it clear as day to the audience. He's really this kind of way. He's really distraught. She's really scum. The other guy's really scum as well. He's the good guy, because he's going to have a tragic ending anyway. He's going to have all these other bad things happen regardless. So go for it.
I'm just in this thing. He was talking about visuals, about looks most of the time,
right?
And now he also brings in character changes. And on that last part, I can agree more, because that is getting away from a faithful adaptation.
Right. That is true.
And I agree. I rather want a faithful adaptation, because that would be the actual story.
That's fine.
In regards to looks, yeah, getting close to it, fine. Do you need to go the whole way? Well, if you want, that's commendable. But just stay roughly, because sometimes you're limited. You have limited resources, or you have limited access to actors. I can accept that. This is not a CGI animation or something where you have complete freedom on how to do things and how to make people look. As long as you have them close in regards to what's their general look, what's their do they have to bring out the right atmosphere? Is it the hair color, eye color? You can put contacts in there. Is it the right? Is it someone pale? Is it someone of a copper olive complexion? Is it someone who's black as the night? Big difference. You can't mix these things up, especially not in a historical setting, or in this case, a fantasy historical setting, because those things are important. Because those people usually haven't moved much out of the places where they have adapted to the environment to end up looking like that.
All
It's
right.
very unlikely you'll find black people from Essos beyond the wall. That's just silly.
All right. Let's get into stream memes. What the hell am I looking at? This is why I hate females. This bitch hit 100 pounds in another room. What the heck? She's taking a selfie and she's gigantic, so she hit her gut at the...
Oh, no. Those are her hanging tits.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not her gut.
Are you sure?
Those are her hanging tits.
I hope so. Either way, she's gigantic and she needs to lose weight. What? Thanks, Mateus. Yeah, I couldn't quite see from my reclining position on my chair from the screen. What's going on here? I don't know. What is this? Victor Kixrum, not super
Victor Krum.
in the movie, but a good for 16-year-old. Okay. Yeah, looks good. Cool. One image didn't pop up. Here we have...
Yeah.
What the hell is this? Wizard holding a staff with his beard. All right. And some kind of plate armor on his lower body.
Yeah, well, you have plate armor on your lower body.
The upper body doesn't matter. And here we have a wizard, and he's shirtless, and he's doing crazy shit. Okay.
Pretty ripped. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Gotta cast those spells with biceps. There he goes. Roar. When you have a bad picture, there she is.
She looks anorexic.
Something's up there. Her makeup's a bit off.
She looks anorexic. There's no fat on her anymore. The kind of when it's unhealthy, when it's just she just looks like bones.
I know it's
with
going
some
on.
skin stretched over.
It's like Gandalf's crushing of Hobbit's face in, but okay.
He's crushing Frodo's head. Is it, or is it Bilbo?
Is it Bilbo or Frodo? I'm not sure. They have the ring, so yeah. Jesus. Here is... What the hell am I looking at? Some kind of disco ball? I don't know.
No idea.
Harry Spotter. Oh, clever. Do you even Leviosa? That's good. My son looks more like Harry Potter than Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Expelliarmus?
Yeah, Expelliarmus. Yeah.
You're saying it wrong. It's not Expelliarmus. It's Exterminatus. Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right? It seems in your anger you killed her. So unlucky I wasn't there. I know the very counter curse that would have saved her.
I love that. So lucky I wasn't there. I know the very counter curse that would have saved her.
Darn. Here is when you missed the Hogwarts Express. Oh, wow. Jeez.
It's the black guy with the face.
Gotta take the metro. So, gotta get to school.
Oh my God.
What is that?
That is Tyrion the manga.
The manga version of Tyrion? What? No. Did they do a manga adaptation of Game of Thrones?
I have no idea what this is, but yeah, that does look closer to the book Tyrion.
Yeah. Cool. All right. That was unexpectedly not that great a video.
Yeah. It's bumbling around a bit.
I don't like how he brought it back to...
It was basically just an adaptation complaint.
Yeah, making an adaptation argument. Why is he not like the book? It's like, well, they decided to amp up the drama, as they do in pretty much every adaptation. It didn't change much. It didn't change really anything, aside from a character who's about to die. Let's switch her motives slightly and make Tyrion more dramatic. It's like, yep, fine, go for it. Give me more reasons to like the story. Great, do it. I don't care.
In 30, 50 years, someone will try to make a new adaptation of Game of Thrones after the final book has been uncovered in the hidden crypt of George R.R. Martin.
Maybe.
That will only be revealed after his death on where to find it.
I can't wait to hear that new story in 2078.
I'm just glad that his argument was the last episode of the show I watched, which I thought was the best, and like, which could mean that they stopped doing that and it got worse, or they kept doing that and it got worse. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way, it wasn't as good as that episode, so that's fine. I don't care. Jeez. What a strange
thing. This is why you should never let people make an adaptation of your writing or your manga before it's finished. It's always crap.
Well, either way, I'm glad we covered it because I like these sorts of discussions. We could literally go through all kinds of movies that do this and find the goods and bads, and I honestly don't think it would amount to much, except for a specific, like, I don't know, like, even with Ian Fleming stuff, his writing is not fantastic, and to make it fun and exciting is probably the point of a Bond film anyway, so you don't want all this espionage gobbledygook and spycraft and political mumbo-jumbo. No, you just want Bond going around shooting guns and jumping through windows and flying through crazy weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, and hot babes.
Let him rest.
Yeah, like have fun. Have fun with your movies. That's pretty much the point.
Mm-hmm.
The medium is the message, as they say. So, anyway,
I just found myself at the point where with this video, oh great, I'm talking about Harry Potter again.
Yeah.
Right, wonderful.
Lucky you, huh?
Yeah, it's like never ends.
Bring the British guy on and talk about Harry Potter. Okay.
You like it? No, I hate it. I wish to burn it all to hell. Oh, right.
Okay.
Anyway, Harry Potter and Hermione Granger. Jesus Christ.
Isn't that a wonderful depiction of British culture?
Oh, God.
Oh, God, no.
Anyway, thank you guys for the suggestion. Not bad. Enjoyed covering it. We've been getting some pretty decent videos to cover the past week, so I do appreciate that. I thought we were going to do another because some people want to do some Smud Talks and about their favorite topics. We could do that next week, and that could work too. I don't mind. Just remind me and tell Mateus not to have another vote for the weekends, and we'll just set it up, so that'll work great. So
yeah, I'm going to be asking you because I think me and Eric are going to do one together. I messaged them earlier.
Great, no problem. Fantastic. Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much. Keep the suggestions coming and keep on voting. We'll talk to you real soon. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye now.